Okay, so in the last video, I had this program running, and so what I pointed out is when we get to the edges, it stops because we lose the mouse. So I just want to show one of the many things that Sagebox does is try to show how you can get more and more advanced with it as you go along, and how it supports, pretty much all the Windows stuff. And then in the next video, I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do the event driven and show that. But here what I want to do is I want to go ahead and just add a couple controls just to do it. And then so let's go ahead and get rid of this because we don't really care about that, once we press the X button. And so what I want to do is let's just go ahead and add a button just for the heck of it. So what I can do is I can say auto and my button equal. It's always good to use the window that you're using because that's where we have the event loop. You can move any Windows events to any other Windows events, but it's good to just use the windows. And so what I can do is I can say dev button, and what it will do is, in fact, here let me just get rid of everything. Let me just get rid of all this, and then say, okay, let's say, and you don't even have a window, don't need a window. You just want to use this for debugging your stuff. And so what you want is let's just make it an endless loop for basically whatever. This is endless enough. Plus, and then what we can do is we can print f I equal percent d I, and then when we actually, I just realized I had the heater on, so you've probably been hearing some noise in the background. That's gone. And so when we run it, you can see that what it does is it just prints, and then we can just do a print out. We can just Control C out of it. But let's go ahead and make a dev button. So you're in a total console mode program here. It's not even a Windows program really. So what we can do is we don't even have to get into an event loop with it. What we can do is we can just say auto my button equal C Sagebox, and just use it as a set of utilities. It really doesn't have anything, and we can do it doesn't really like this, and dot dev button. So we can just put a dev button, and then what we can do is we can just say printf, and then we can just say, hey, you know what, if the button was pressed, we can do this. We can just say button pressed, exiting, and go ahead and break the loop. And so now when we run it, we have this dev button, and then when you add buttons and other things, it'll just add to the window. And so when I press the button, it gets the button. And so if this is like a long lost process, I mean, just something way out there, and you want to deal with it, you want to just see what the status is, set up a checkbox to change the mode of it, you can go ahead and do that. And then you can do things called where you can set up signals where it just fills a Boolean, so you can just pass a Boolean, you don't have to check the button. And so that's the sort of thing you can do. So let's get back to where we were with the Square program. So with the Square program, we have what we had here. And so what I want to do is I just want to put kind of a stock button, really, just for the heck of it. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put a button on the screen in much the same way as I did the button earlier. But I'll put it here, and I'll just put it at, I'll just put it up in the upper left-hand corner at maybe 2020. And then press me. And there's a lot of different ways to do buttons, but we'll just go ahead and put that there. And then I'm not even going to check if it's pressed. Well, actually I will, because I want to show some event-driven stuff later. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I don't know what happened here, but new button is what we want. And so the idea is that what we'll do is we'll do the same thing. We'll just say if my button pressed. And remember, it's only coming in here when it gets an event. This is not a loop that's just eating up your CPU time. It only comes in when there's a mouse move, a mouse click, and a button press, and that sort of thing. And so we can do exactly the same thing. We'll just say printf button pressed, exiting, and then break, and just run it. And so it's the same thing. So I can do this, and then there's actually ways to fill that. And that's another way you can get it more advanced with Sagebox. In fact, I'll show this real quick just to show it. What you can do is you can just say, hey, if we're going to draw it, what we can do is we can go ahead and with the button, we can say my button dot update the background. It's not exactly the most efficient. And so when we run it, then now you can see that it's actually filling in the back of the button. So just to show some of the power that's in there that you may not see right away. Anyway, so let's get rid of that, and then and so you can see that we have the same thing where we're exiting. So I'm just going to leave that for the next video, but I'm going to leave that in there for now. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and comment it out, but just remember that was there. And so what we really want to focus on is the is the idea that, let's run it, is that when we run it, it sticks on the edges. And so I got rid of the event, but I didn't get rid of the button. But you can see a couple lines, and you're done. And so what we want to do is we want to do something called capturing the mouse. And if you've programmed in Windows at all, you're pretty familiar with it, and it's a series of messages that you send. And so what I can do is I can say, okay, I want to capture the mouse. And so I can do cwhen.capture mouse. And what it'll do is it'll go ahead and capture the mouse so I can run it. And the way Sagebox works, if you're a Windows programmer, you'll know that you don't necessarily just want to keep capturing the mouse. It knows the mouse is captured, so it just returns if it already knows the mouse is captured. So I can just continually call it. It's no big deal. And so now what you'll see, two things. Now, see, I can move it around the edges. I can move it anywhere I want. It's just really fantastic. But I've got a problem now. Now when I press the X button to get out, it doesn't do anything. I'm stuck in here. I can't even move the window. What I have to do is I have to go to another application and then come back so it releases the capture. And we can even detect that. So we can say that, okay, we can say if cwhen.capture released, we can say printf capture released, just so we can track it. And so let's compile it and run it. So as we run it, we have our nice debug window here. We can see that, we've captured the mouse. And then when I go to another, so there it is, capture released, right? And so it released the capture, and now I can move it again. And now it's still captured, and I'm still in trouble. But when I move and then come back, you'll see it says that didn't see the events because the events went through. Let's see if we can do it again. And so when I get over here without doing anything, so you can see it released the capture. And so we want to handle that. So what we can do is, and again, another beauty of console mode is just Control-C out of it. Don't know what's happening, just get out of there. And so what we can do is we can actually see, okay, if the mouse is down, we've moved the mouse, and if the mouse is down, what we can do is we can, in fact, what we can do is we can say if mouse. So what we can do is we can say, hey, if we get in here an event and the mouse button isn't down, we can just say, will be mouse button down equal, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and assign it to this. And this isn't the most efficient way of doing it, for sure. I mean, you'd really want to not make these calls all the time. I mean, some of them are inline, but I'm just pointing out this is just for show right here. But what I can do is I can say if be mouse button not down, button down. What I can do is I can say cwhen.release capture, and then what I can do is I can go ahead and do that. And then what I can do too also is that I can detect the mouse click, I can detect the mouse click up, to only do this when necessary. And then in fact what I can do is I can say if not mouse button down and cwhen.is mouse captured, so that it only does it when the capture is released. And so what I can do is I can go ahead and say, and it's great debugging, because this is great for debugging, because what I can say is I can say mouse capture released, and so I can debug my program to make sure it's doing it when I want it to do it, instead of on every mouse movement. And so let's compile that. And so what we can do is we can go ahead and so when I let go of the mouse right now, it releases the capture, and so now I can still move it again. And so that's a real nice, easy way to deal with things. I'm just going to do one more thing for efficiency's sake. What I can do is I can say if not cwhen that mouse captured, then go ahead and do that, and then I can even assign it here, like if it's there. But here what I'm doing is I'm only doing it in reaction to the mouse move. So anyway, so that is just what I wanted to show in terms of how we can do a lot of stuff with Sagebox, create buttons and then capture the mouse and do things. And so we're already getting more advanced, and it really doesn't take a whole lot. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this an entirely event-driven program in two ways. I'm going to do something where we can just take this entire get event loop and make it event driven, but then we can also trap the mouse moves and things, just to show that if you want to work more in the canonical sort of event driven situation, the scope of Windows, you can go ahead and do that too.